Basketball players may be good at passing the ball, but it seems like they're also pretty great at passing comments. But hey, what's a little back and forth between players, right? Well, in that news, Kevin Durant and James Harden are hurling out comments at each other. In this video, we're going to talk about what the two players have to say to each other, and spoiler alert, it's not all good things. Starting with, things are kind of going down between Kevin and James. Now, it's not exactly surprising that Durant and Harden weren't really getting along last season. Additionally, the Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving experiment put all together in their second year didn't really pan out as expected. And it's kind of weird because looking at it from the outside, the three formed an amazingly talented team in the NBA. However, upon looking at it closer, the group had a whole lot of turbulence. Some new, candid details about the friction between Kevin and James have come to light through the interview with Fox Sports' Yaron Weitzman. Next up, here's all the tea that came our way. So, things set off with the whole vaccination mess with Kyrie Irving. Also, and this is according to several Nets sources, Durant and Harden sorta went at each other too. The two players got their horns tangled when Durant claimed that he thought Harden wasn't exactly in the best physical shape. It was hinted that these words were clearly conveyed. Plus, as per a friend, Harden's very frustrated with the training staff of the Nets. So amidst a lot of things, Durant's remark kinda stands out because it's got a sting, y'all. Further up, Harden's out here firing shots right back. James isn't the sort to just take a comment like that from a teammate. He seems to be right on top of the whole thing, as he's got some things to say to his former teammate as well. After having played for the Brooklyn Nets and the Houston Rockets, Harden's currently in the Philadelphia 76ers. This funny guy is looking to divert the spotlight from a name that's followed him now for a good while. Starts with a Q and ends with an R. Yeah, quitter. To tear this unwanted tag off his reputation, Harden openly pointed to the other superstar who wanted to leave long after he had already done so. In Harden's own words, the question is if he's still the one who's a quitter. Clearly, this is a direct hit at Durant himself. Ouch. Moving on, the fans ain't here for all this. NBA fans quickly resorted to ridiculing James Harden, aka Funny Guy, for what he had to say about Kevin Durant. They're not taking things easy when it comes to stuff like this being said. They got down to comparing both the players, and the consensus was that there's a major difference between the two who are tackling at each other with their words. And this difference is the fact that KD is still playing for the Brooklyn Nets. One Twitter user even went so far as to say that Harden's a two-time in-season quitter. This barrage of hurtful words just isn't ending, is it? Everyone's got way too many thoughts. Up next, Harden's blaming his injuries for a lot of the stuff that went down. Behind the "Am I still the quitter" line lies a lot of contexts. True, it was aimed at KD, but Harden's explanation is that his injuries got in the way of his plans for Brooklyn. His initial full season with the Philadelphia 76ers started in a very frustrating manner. He strained a tendon in the foot after being in it for less than even a month, and that led to him being sidelined for a total of 14 games. Harden's back on the court now though, and the Sixers have managed 3-1 since then. Harden's also returned to the media with a full-length feature that's appeared for the first time in almost 3 years. This one's from Yaron Weitzman at Fox Sports, and the entire work's totally worth a read. Some of the points at the end are especially notable because they outline the conclusion of Harden's tenure with the Brooklyn Nets. This is the stuff that's really important. It should be looked into with a greater focus. What's more, let's look into the relationship between the two players who are butting heads. There have been reports that Harden and Kevin Durant really had a Cold War type of situation going on during Harden's last days in Brooklyn. A February 2022 Bleacher Report pointed to the fact that Durant had pushed for Harden to be traded. It was also mentioned that Harden's conditioning lack was also contributing to the problem. This little nugget of information isn't new, so there's no surprises there, but it kind of matters that the whole situation has been confirmed by another source as well. So keeping in mind all of this, the two players clashing seems to be a natural progression, right? Now, for Harden's frustrated state of mind. In the words of a friend, Harden was also losing his patience a little when it came to the Nets training staff and his focus on rest, recovery, and maintenance. It doesn't really seem odd if we consider the fact that he'd run stadium stairs and lift even during the game sometimes in Houston. None of that led to him ever being hurt. When asked how he'd describe the time he spent in Brooklyn, Harden hesitated a bit before saying that he found it tough because he just wasn't able to get healthy. In the Nets' second-round playoff series, where they were up against the Milwaukee Bucks during Game 1 in 2021, Harden strained his hamstring, which led to him being kept out of Games 2, 3, and 4. The player did return for the last 3 games in the series, which includes a Game 7 that had a miraculous 53 minutes, but he wasn't totally himself because the Nets ended up losing right in their own home and got eliminated. Furthermore, the injury threw Harden's 2021 offseason off course, which already was very short because of the pandemic. He was unable to be a part of the Tokyo Olympics for Team USA. He also couldn't play pickup and wasn't in his game shape at the time of the training camp and opening night of the 2021-22 season. Coming up next, Harden really seems to have a point over here. Even after all that derailment, things just weren't in his favor. It got worse when Harden missed a number of games because he was in the health and safety protocols, got a hyperextended knee, suffered a hand strain, and injured his hamstring again. Yikes, sounds like a lot. And all in all, the player missed a total of 11 games before he was traded to the Sixers, and he also ended up missing 7 more games in Philadelphia. So all told, we've got to acknowledge that Harden's health had an effect on the way his experience with the Nets came undone. It's still really difficult to say how much of that was due to Harden's conditioning, as Durant pointed out, and how much of it was, well, just rotten luck. Next up, Harden's experience in his own words. No matter how you choose to look at it, Harden's time with the Nets was one of the most volatile times any megastars had on a team. In the words of a Nets staffer, there came a point when James was just kinda done with the entire thing. It was so that he was done with the team in all respects around his second year there, and fairly quickly requested a trade because of that. According to Harden, it isn't his intention to talk down to anyone, but he just found no structure, and in his opinion, the structure is important for everyone, including superstars. He said that it's that quality that helps people like him be the best players that they can be. It's also what makes them leaders in their organizations. However it went down, it's undisputed that Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant together form a group that's got a huge what-if looming over them in the history of the NBA. Further up, the organizational structure of the Nets didn't really help. Overall, Harden isn't really wrong because the lack of structure is a very noticeable thing. Granted, the injuries and the occurrences of a pandemic contributed, but still, it happened very often that the Nets gave in to the demands of their stars. An example is that DeAndre Jordan was signed onto a pretty awesome deal because he's a friend to Irving and Durant. This episode led to tensions arising with the then head coach Kenny Atkinson. It happened later that he was fired because of the influence of the players. As a result, Durant got to pick Steve Nash in his place. Now we know that we've got to be fair. Many other teams would also come under pressure if they had such great star power. Anyway, the Nets have paid for all the risks they've taken. Moving on, did Harden really quit the Nets? Harden's maintained that he never quit on the team, and even though he's put forth several valid points in the past, this one was not easy to accept. In his final game, there are many proofs that can convince us that he kinda seemed to be quitting. If you watch the footage of the game, the lack of effort on the defensive end will really shock you. So yeah, Harden's got a point when he says that Irving and Durant followed suit and got out of Brooklyn, but that doesn't provide a justification for his actions. Up next, Harden's low point. Even though the team had a lot going for them with the big three in it, we never really got to see the full potential of the group. In 2021, they only managed to reach the second round of playoffs. According to Harden, the 2 years were a low point in their entirety. He said that he's never had to deal with something of that kind of magnitude in his life. He continued that he was engaged mentally and physically since basketball is everything to him. Finishing up with, the two great players might be alright with each other. Harden's still close with Durant, even though he had a hard time in Brooklyn. The former teammates actually got together to spend time on a yacht for Harden's 33rd birthday. Talking about Durant, Harden said, "We're cool. That's all from our side for today. Do you think there's any merit to the statements the two players are making about each other? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next one."